Welcome to the Lifted Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Latasha Weatherspoon, and this is a call to action to live above the distractions that try to disrupt your peace, steal your joy, and limit your access to your best life. I'm joined today by our standing co-host, the wonderful COO of the Lifted Lifestyle, Mr. Chazz Bailey.
Hello, world. How are you? Once again, Chazz Bailey. You can find me on Twitter at Chazz Bailey. Happy to be here. Hope you all are as well.
Good. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I got this sweater on. I'm warm. I'm doing all right.
I know, right? It's cold in Houston. I just can't get used to it. I had a scarf on today and my coat. I felt like I was in New York again.
See, and the difference was I was in New York and it was feeling like Houston up there. Now it's down here feeling like New York. So
I know, right? I know. Okay, so let's get right into our show with the first segment of our show and go into our gratitude segment, where every week it is important to us that we showcase the things that we are grateful for. You know, when you showcase gratitude in your life, you open up room to receive more blessings. So what are you grateful for this week, Chazz?
This week, I'm grateful for consistency of great stories in the news. And we'll touch bases on that towards the end of the show, but it's been a recurring theme, and I don't know if it's the season or what, but it's always a great story in the news, from someone being saved, someone doing an act of kindness. It's great news finally, and it's always good to have that. So I'm definitely grateful to see good news consistently.
Awesome. For me this week, I think I'm most grateful for my grandmother, and just talking to her on the phone, listening to her laugh. You know, she really gets into Christmas, and my sister got the Christmas decorations all put up, and she was talking about how she couldn't wait to have her eggnog and sit in her rocking chair. So I was really, this week it was heartwarming to hear her so happy. I think it's been a while since I heard her laugh so full-bodied and, just be so excited.
That's awesome. And that's one thing we have to remember to do. We have to always remember to laugh. Latasha, tell the people how they can create their own gratitude jar.
Oh, okay. So the gratitude jar is something that I was gifted by my friend Jackie Brown in about 2013, I think I started doing this. And basically, I just took a jar. I decorated it. The one that you see on the screen, I had the word gratitude printed on it and vinyl stickers. And every day, I take about 10 to 15 minutes and I write out about 5 to 6 things that happened, that day or that week that I'm grateful for. And then at the end of the year, on New Year's Eve, I open the gratitude jar and review all the things that have happened in my life this year. And no matter how tough your year is, it always brings you back to a place of center and a place of gratitude when you look at all the amazing things that have happened to your life. And you can, Chazz, you can put scriptures in it. You can put little sayings that other people said to you, words of kindness people sowed into your life. You can put all those things in your gratitude jar. You have one too.
Yes. It's definitely a point of reflection. And we can even go a step further. And you could say, if you make this practice your own and you're doing it daily, every morning, you can reflect on it at the end of the week, whether you look at that as Sunday or Saturday.
That's a good idea.
And you can say, though things got a little rough around midweek, I made it through. And
that's a great idea to actually pause and look at the gratitude jar during the week and during maybe even a monthly practice, as opposed to waiting till the end of the year and just kind of going through and looking at what you're grateful for.
Exactly.
It'll keep you grounded.
Yeah, definitely. When things get rough and you're mad that you went for a new electronic device and they were all sold out, you go back to your gratitude jar and it says, I'm thankful to have cable.
This is true.
It puts it in perspective. So now you're like, well, it's all right. I can get it next time. So
This is true. Okay, so the topic of our show today, it is, what's love got to do with it? So I'm very, very excited about this show. But we're going to take a different spin on the concepts of love and what love has to do with it. Okay. We're going to talk about love for yourself, self-love. And it's become one of those hot button topics. Everyone's using the term self-love, make sure you have good self-love. But I haven't seen anyone really delving into what is self-love and how you usher it into your life. So today's show is going to kind of talk about what we believe self-love to be and different ways that you can integrate self-love into your life on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome.
You want to start us off, Chazz? What do you think self-love is?
Well, first off, since you took the Tina Turner approach and you're singing "What's Love Got to Do with It?"
Hey, that's important.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I have to have a song. If loving me is wrong, I don't want to be right. So that's the spin I'm going to take on this.
Okay.
But to me, self-love is one of the most important parts of love, because if you can't love yourself, you kind of limit yourself on loving others. So I would say that's a heightened sense of self. The piece of love is just so deep. So why would you want to forget yourself? Which is very vital.
So for me, like, I define self-love as being kind to myself and having the same kind of grace and fervor for how I treat myself, that the same way that I treat other people. It's about protecting myself and giving to myself the same way that I would my family members or the people that I hold dear. From a different standpoint, when you look at Corinthians 13 and they give you this whole definition of love, it's asking yourself if you're being kind to yourself, if you're being patient with yourself. So that's kind of my definition. Do you have like a scripted definition or...
Well, one thing I believe in is something that I've gotten away from myself, is being proud of yourself. Everyone is proud of you in certain moments. You make great achievements, you graduate, you did these great things on the sport platform, but they said, I'm proud of you. But are you proud of yourself? So I would say being proud of yourself is a great component, because that allows yourself to build off of that. It allows you to feed off of your own energy. And when you feed off your own energy, you can grow to places unknown. You're your own energy source. When you do that, the possibility is endless.
Definitely. I totally agree with you. I think that for me, the concept of love is so vague. We always talk about what it means to love one another, and what love is, but you don't really apply those same kinds of pointers to yourself, so one of the things that I wanted to do on today's show is kind of give you guys like a roadmap. What does that look like? How do you develop self-love for yourself? So you got to do the work, right? So what is the work? One of the things that is really, really important is being mindful, actually paying attention to how you treat yourself. Are you actually thinking through the thoughts that you're saying, or the things that you're saying about yourself, or what you're thinking about yourself, or how you're reacting when you make a mistake?
I agree. And to piggyback on that, I would say, in my opinion, one of the key factors in self-love is understanding this is something no one else can give you. This is something that is yours, and no one else can really take this away from you, because it is yours. So no matter what's going on in life, what's going on in the world, that self-love is generated from one person, and that's you.
Yeah, and then to take it a little bit further, is just to create boundaries. I think that when we have healthy boundaries in our lives, it teaches, everyone around us how to treat us. When we can be able to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Or, say yes to things that feel good. One of my favorite books is Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes. And she talks about how she was stopped in her tracks when her daughter asked her, will you play with me? And how it had been months since she said yes. And how in that instant of saying yes to playing with her daughter, she recognized how many other things that brought her joy she wasn't saying yes to. So being able to say yes to things that bring you joy, and also being able to say no to things that deplete your joy, that take away your energy, being able to set boundaries at work, set boundaries at home, and be intentional about those kinds of things. I think that's really important in showing your self-love, showing love to yourself and demonstrating to everyone else what it looks like to love me. There's a quote that says that people treat us the way we allow them to treat us. And when you really think about that, it's true, because if you let people run amok in your life, what they gonna do? Or as my Uncle Pop would say, you give them an inch, they gonna take a mile.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely have to be careful with that, because like you said, you set the boundaries, therefore you set the rules. We live in a society where we follow the guidelines, the structures of our society. And who follows the guidelines when it comes to yourself? And that's a key thing to remember.
Or who sets them,
Exactly. And if it's your company, you're the only employee, you're the only CEO, you're the only board of director, you make those rules. You make those boundaries.
It's interesting that you say that, because I know with the lifted lifestyle, we have to make it a point to not work sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
To turn it off and to say, I'm not going to work this weekend. I'm going to go on vacation and actually really be on vacation.
Or I'm asleep. Something simple as that. Just relaxing. So
but
you can just
that it sounds so simple, but when we think about the concept of taking care of our mind and our body and our spirit, something as simple as making sure we're sleeping, making sure we're eating food that nourishes our bodies, making sure that we're taking time to do things that bring us joy or practice whatever our spiritual practice is. I think all of those things are important in how we take care of ourselves and how we show love to ourselves. So I think that's important. It sounds small, but it's not really a small thing.
Yes, like the greatest things come in the smallest details.
True.
And that applies to our lives every day. So we have to always remember to follow our own rules as we follow the ones in society.
That's good. Okay, so I also the next thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that self-love is not something that's age restricted. When we think about self-love, we think about it being this grand concept. But how does a person learn self-love?
Yeah.
They learn self-love by daily practicing it. So if we start with our children and we start teaching them what it looks like to love themselves by how we love them and how we affirm them, I think that people like us who are in the empowerment profession will have less work to do with adults. If children learn to love themselves in childhood. I tell the story all the time about how my father really affirmed me when I was little. He told me, you're so beautiful, you're so smart, and all these different things. So by the time I went to school, people was like, she thinks she's better than us. But I really had a firm sense on who I was based on my father. This is before I learned anything about affirmations, back in the 80s.
Yes.
But and even the concept, something as simple as he would always say, you're a queen. You're not a princess. Princesses are second. You're not second to anyone. You're a queen. And he would get offended when people would call me a princess. So that was something that I took with me throughout my entire life that I think began to shape how I learned to love myself.
Exactly. I agree 100% because I know my family are my biggest fans. Mm-hmm. And so
I met your mama. It's true. Hey, Miss Jean.
And so if you're my biggest fan, don't boo. We got to remember that, because self-love, if you are the biggest fan, you're cheering every moment. You're cheering every movement. And if your child wants to be an astronaut, you're the greatest astronaut at 4 years old. Things of that nature. And you grow. Like your father used the Queen example. It's so many examples we can use because we have to pioneer this next generation. And something simple as smiling and just saying, you know what? You're awesome. Mm-hmm. And don't let the sticker just say it. We give children stickers all the time, but we need to say it verbally. We need to feed into them, and that helps you grow, because even when you're older, you work in different professions, you want that same sticker. So you definitely have to affirm yourself. You have to affirm the children around you, whether it's your child or anyone else's. And I think that helps a generation grow. I think that's awesome.
I think that, and it's the same way that we're intentional about everything else. We have to be intentional about teaching children to be positive and to love inward, you know, and the same way they love outward. You know, you'll say, well, give me a hug, which is an outward expression of love. Mm-hmm. But affirmations for me, I think when I'm talking through it with a young person, I say it is an internal expression of love. Because even when you affirm yourself, sometimes to say it out loud, and then you taught me this, but say it out loud, but then whisper it to yourself internally. I think that begins to cement those belief systems into yourselves. And the advantage that we have as adults is we are more aware of it. Yeah. So we can teach our children that same kind of awareness. I think that it will be a powerful thing because, you know, we'll have more self-confident and self-aware adults in the next generation.
Yes, it has to start somewhere. And a lot of times we grow older, we get into cinema, we see all the different types of movies, but we forget the stories that when we sat on people's laps and in kindergarten, things of that nature. One comes to mind by having this conversation, the little engine that could. He said, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, when it got hard. And by taking the little engine that could, and even just tweaking it a little bit, just saying the little boy that can, the little girl that will. And you say that, it grows, and you say, you know what, I can do this, whether you're taking a test, you're taking a shot, whatever.
And I think it becomes a bonding moment too. I was on Facebook recently and I saw a video of a father holding his daughter up in the mirror, like he had her standing on the counter, and he was holding her up and he said, you are beautiful. And then she said, I am beautiful. And just, it will be a bonding thing, you know, if you're more religious about it. Like, I have that memory with my father, although it wasn't as intentional as the videos that are on Facebook now. I think that, you know, it becomes something that a child will never forget.
Exactly.
They will never forget that.
Exactly. And then we also have to remember this. It's not only a one-way street, because by you holding that child up in the mirror and she's affirming herself, and then you affirming her, that allows you to take something from that child. You're learning just as well as she is. So learning doesn't have to come from older people. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to always remember that. We can sow into these children. These children can sow into adults. It's Agreed. A recyclable thing.
And then, you know, I think that it's a level of kindness that's taught, you know. And we have to actively learn how to be kind to ourselves. You know, we're often taught in elementary school, be nice, you know, be nice, play nice. But are you being nice and playing nice with yourself?
Yeah.
Or are you being your biggest critic and your own worst enemy? You know, sometimes I know the perfectionist in me even will say, you could have done that better. Or are you doing that, you know, in a spirit of excellence? And you don't enjoy the moment. And while you are supposed to hold yourself to the highest standard, I also think that it's important to give yourself some grace and some kindness, the same way that we would extend it to an external being.
Yeah, I agree. Life gets fun when you relax and you enjoy yourself, when you come from a genuine place of you, when you smile more. When you extend your hand more, you can get more from that than receiving anything. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the most valuable things in self-love is basically I'm happy with myself and I'm able to give to you because of what I am to myself. So I think that is a powerful thing that we both have to do with ourselves and our children.
And, you know, I mean, also one of the things that I've learned is when you affirm yourself, there'll come a time when you need to write new affirmations because the things that you've been affirming have now shown themselves in your life. So I know for a while I was affirming, you know, I am confident, I am strong. And then after a while you see those things and you can make your affirmations more integrated as you go along. Don't think that, you know, there's any wrong way to do it. You call into your life and into the lives of your children the things that are needed most, you know?
Yeah, definitely, because love is a thing that is not, I believe love doesn't have a highest level. There's no ceiling. So you constantly grow. So when you speak about self-love, you can always grow. So the point you just made about affirmations, you say these affirmations about yourself, then suddenly you are confident, you are strong. Okay, now I need more affirmations. So you're growing internally. And, I don't know where this just came from, but the Latin term of love is broken down between different languages. And in Houston, it's a large Hispanic population. And in Spanish, it's called amor. That's love. So let's just break it down in English. More. You get more love.
Just give a little more. All right, I like that. I like that. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the importance of a self-care practice. I think that, and we talk about this a lot, having a self-care practice is something that really shows your love for yourself. Because when I am a complete woman who is taking care of herself and I feel good and I'm feeling energized on a mental, a spiritual, and a physical level, then I can be a better partner. I can be a better mother. I can be a better daughter, taking care of those things. So what's your self-care?
I love sometimes being in the company of like-minded individuals. That means nothing intellectual, just being silly, crazy, laughing, enjoying yourself, because that takes you away from the day-to-day operations of society.
Or playing 2K.
Kinda, yeah. And but so anything of that nature, whether it's friends or even by myself, just being in a quiet place where I can think. Let me get in my own head and play a while. That's not saying that something's wrong with you. That's fun.
Just need to be by yourself sometimes.
Exactly. And so that's one of the more key things I would say that is a self-love practice for me. And I try to keep it honest. If I'm in a place where a lot of my friends aren't, well, I need to have a trip soon to sit around people, laugh, joke, and pick on each other, basically.
Well, for me, one of the major keystones of my self-care practice involves the ocean, the sun, and some sand. So every chance I get, I'm trying to steal away to a beach. But on a day-to-day basis, it's meditation and walking. I love to be able to take a walk outside as frequently as possible. It's something about being surrounded with nature and just being able to kind of immerse myself in all the things that God has made and just kind of be one with my thoughts and decompress from the day. I think a daily 30-minute walk for me does good for everybody around me.
Yeah. And I think to your point by saying the ocean, taking a trip, going off somewhere, don't confuse wants with needs. Sometimes you need that trip.
Oh, yeah.
When we write it down and say, okay, I want to go to California or I want to go to this particular beach or where have you, it looks like a want. But sometimes if you know yourself and what centers you the most and make you the most efficient you that you can be, you need to get on that plane. Or you need to go to whatever beach is necessary so you can center yourself. Because for me, one of the things, as far as I always say I need, is I need a haircut. And it's not because of looking good. It's just something about growing up, going to the barbershop, getting a haircut, and you just come out, you be like, I got a suit on. You look like you just going outside to clean up. But
yeah, you serious about getting your haircut every week.
You have to.
I understand. And I'm not mad at you, because we all have our thing, and I think being unapologetic about whatever your thing is, whatever you need to do to feel like the best version of yourself, I think that's exactly what you have to do. Get your nails done, get a haircut, take a trip, take a moment just to be with yourself. Whatever that thing is, you have to do it unapologetically. I think we've been taught that if we take care of ourselves, it's selfish, but it's really the exact opposite, I think, because if I take care of myself, I can be a better girl. I can be
definitely
a better wife or better boss. I can be all of those things. But if I'm empty,
you can't pour from an empty cup. That's what you say all the time. So
yeah, you can.
So it's just like paid in full. Everybody eats, but how you gonna feed somebody you hungry?
This is true.
So how's that possible? So that's one thing you have to think about.
Like in the next generation is watching us. I talk with my friends and my cousin all the time about how we've watched our grandmothers and our aunts kind of be martyrs. We've watched them just give of themselves until there was nothing else to give. And then, they have a heart attack. They have a stroke. They've given from an empty cup. And that has taken a toll on their bodies and their minds. And I think that the next generation is watching us to see what the path is, kind of the same way we were watching them. So it is a retraining of ourselves. So we have to retrain ourselves to take care of ourselves so that the next generation has a healthier view of what it looks like to be whole.
I agree. I can't say anything else. That's well put.
Now, a question that you asked me last night is that I've been kind of thinking about that is just so powerful. Is how can love impact society?
Yes, because generally speaking, we hear cliches all the time. And some people say, whether it's a slogan or what have you, that love conquers all. And so on the other side, if love conquers all, can love solve our societal problems? So how about we tweak it a little more and just say self-love? How can I sow into societal problems? How can I be better in resolving these issues in society? Because one slogan we used to have back in my high school days was, if I don't, we won't. So if you have self-love and love conquers all, 2 and 2 together, you can make a difference.
I think when I sat with it and I thought about how can love, answer some of our issues in society, I think that, my motto came to mind, let love lead the way. But more than that, if a person does not love themselves, I don't believe that they have the capability to love other people. It's kind of the premise that, if I don't love me, how can I really give to you what I don't have? And I think that's where, for me, it starts. It's teaching people to, one, forgive themselves. When you've made a mistake, forgive yourself. Give yourself some grace. And also to be religious about taking care of yourself so that you can take care of people around you. The golden rule is real,
Yeah, definitely. It is.
We got to all go back to kindergarten.
It is.
And really implement the golden rule in our day-to-day life.
We do. We definitely do. And like the start of the show, the things we learn as a child can play a pivotal role in our success as adults.
If we learn, and in this day and age, the simple one, keep your hands to yourself.
That's another
keep your hands to yourself. Share. You're right. I mean, the lessons that we learned as children, if we all just go back to the simplest lessons of life, I think that it would be profound for our society. But as adults, we get, caught up in our own selfish motives. We get caught up in wanting to be at the forefront of everything, even if that means I have to take it from you.
Yeah.
We're not going back to the foundational things, which is, I am not going to do anything to you that I wouldn't want you to do to me.
I agree.
It's a simple rule. And if we all implemented it in our lives, I think the world at large would get better.
Yeah, I agree. So start with self-love.
Yes. Okay, so in the interest of time, we're going to go on to our call to action for the week. So what I would like for you to do is write out this statement. I am showing love to myself when, and fill in 3 things. 3 things that are representative of how you show love to yourself.
Okay.
Just simple things. So 1 is, I am consistent with my positive affirmations. I'm consistent. I'm going to do them every morning. I'm going to write them in my mirror to remind me. 2, I'm going to say no to the things that deplete my energy, whether it is staying at work too long, whether it's not sleeping, whatever. Just, I'm going to say no to those things that deplete my energy, and I'm going to take a vacation.
Okay.
Those are mine, but I want all of us to take some time and write out those things.
Okay, well, I got homework to do.
Of course, of course. And, also when you do these activities, feel free to let me know how they're working. You can always email me at info@theliftedlifestyle.com and let me know how it's working. Or if you have a question about our call to action for the week, you can always reach me via email, or I'm on all social media channels at Tasha Spoon.
Yeah, and definitely don't feel free if you don't want to contact her, you can contact me. I got you. It's you can get me at the Lifted Lifestyle website, and that's Chazz at theliftedlifestyle.com if you prefer to email. If you want to just go through on Twitter, you can do at Chazz Bailey. Something simple.
Okay, so the next segment of our show is returning to good news. Although this news cycle has been very, very good, it's been, thank you, Alabama, for making sure my news cycle last night was up to par when I woke up this morning. But I think that the news cycle has been doing a good job at showing us good news. But we want to make sure that we're adding to the good of the world. So we're going to share a little good news story with you that Chazz has found for us this week.
Yes. So I was not limited to one, unfortunately. Okay. I got two for you. So the first good news story is going to come from a crossing guard. This crossing guard has been a crossing guard at a middle school for, I want to say, 16 years. And what she did was, since the weather is changing, it's winter now, she actually amazing. Made a free coat rack for children during this time. So when children are walking to school, some may not have a coat, and that they need one. So she placed an actual coat rack and did a actual coat drive while children cross the street.
Wow.
And so if you cross the street with short sleeves on and it's 30 degrees, she's like, come over here and you get this coat.
Wow. And looking at that picture of her, she definitely is somebody's grandmother. So I just want to say, Miss Minnie Galloway, we absolutely appreciate the work that you are doing to keep these kids warm this winter season. It is an absolute heartwarming thing to hear something like that.
Exactly. And that's the theme of the good news this week. The theme is that you can make a difference no matter what your position is.
Wow.
So she's a crossing guard. Somebody may just say, her job is to make sure the children get safely across the street.
But she's giving them safety in another area of their lives too, as well. Just giving them that actual physical warmth. That is amazing.
Exactly. So definitely a teachable moment.
That made me feel good.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Hopefully it did you all the same. The second story is actually from an Uber driver. So continuing the theme of basically,
shout out to Uber.
Yeah, shout out to Uber. Your position does not dictate what you can do for someone else.
Oh, so, wow.
This Uber driver in Florida actually picked up a guest or a client.
Okay.
And they were heartbroken because they came to meet a significant other. And that person ditched them. And so she felt so sad about that. She said, you know what? You already took off. Your flight is not till this date. Come hang with me and my friends. And she took her in her house. They hung out, had a great time. So what they did is basically took her in as if she was one of their own.
That is amazing.
She had a great time. They even, like, if you read the story, she went through and they went out for like drinks. They partied, So I think that's awesome because same thing. Your position doesn't dictate what you cannot do for someone. So
and like listening to this story, I think that is one of the things that teaches us that we all have an opportunity to do something kind for someone else that will make an imprint on their life forever. I don't think that girl Leia will ever forget how this person who's a stranger showed her an act of kindness and what had to be one of the most devastating points in her life. I mean, and to the guy who stood her up. Now, sir, that is a shame.
It is.
That is a shame. You should not have done that. That's a shame.
But look, through a tragedy, she has
That's true.
six
She
new
got 5 new
friends,
friends.
and
yeah.
she can go to Florida anytime she wants. So
I know, right?
So
And
shout
then,
out to Liv.
Just looking at the pictures, I think that, the woman Leia was, a Caucasian lady, and she was hanging out with 5 African American women. And I think that that's amazing because in these day and age, there's a lot of things that divide us. Yeah. But at our core, there are things that unite us. Things like simple acts of kindness and the desire for friendship and love and connection. Exactly. I think we have to always remember that while there are a lot of things that divide us, we have to tap into the things that connect us.
Yes. The turn up is not limited to color.
The turn up is not limited, right?
Color.
Okay. I'm going to remember that.
Remember that.
It is limited to color for me, though, because I only like red wine. So that's,
Well, it depends on what venue you go to and what type of lights. You have whatever colors you want.
Well, then again, I take that back because I did have a good Riesling when we went to the restaurant the other day, so I take that back.
All right.
I will take it back. So to wrap up today's show, remember that love conquers all, So what's love got to do with it? Love has everything to do with it because when you are religious about how you love yourself, you can then be intentional about how you love other people and how you show up in the world. And when you are intentional about how you show up in the world, the universe responds to you with a resounding yes. It gives back to you all of the things that you desire. You believe that too, right?
Yes, and like I said, the other song is "Loving Me Is Wrong, Don't Be Right."
Yeah, if loving you is wrong, don't be right. Everybody is going to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you for joining us on this week's show. Remember that you can find us at The Lifted Lifestyle on Instagram. You can find us individually. I am at Tasha Spoon on all social media channels. You can also visit our website, which is theliftedlifestyle.com. Chazz, where can the people find you?
You can email me anytime, Chazz at theliftedlifestyle.com, or on Twitter at Chazz Bailey.
And do your homework. I look forward to hearing all about it, and we will see you guys soon.
See you later.